Hey heroes, cosplayers, and pop culture fans, are you ready to assemble for the ultimate geek weekend? The Hall of Heroes Comic-Con is invading Elkhart, Indiana with 2 explosive days of comics, stars, and non-stop fun. Join us Saturday, May 30th and Sunday, May 31st, 2026 at the Northern Indiana Event Center in Elkhart. Doors open at 10 a.m. both days. VIP early entry at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday. We're rolling out a massive lineup of legends. Meet Eric Estrada from Chips and Fallout, Dirk Benedict from the A-Team and Battlestar Galactica, Tara Reid from American Pie and Sharknado, Catherine Cavadini, voice of Blossom from the Powerpuff Girls, Kel Mitchell from All That, Kevin and Kel and Mystery Men, horror icon Tony Moran, the original Michael Myers in Halloween and more. Plus, top comic artists including Arthur Sidem, Marvel Zombies and Deadpool, John Kramer from Batman and Wonder Woman, Keith Pollard, a legendary Marvel artist on Spider-Man and Thor, and more. Scott Rosama, Stuart Sager, and others. Get autographs, photo ops, and chats with the stars and creators who shaped your favorites. The floor is packed with over 150 vendors, artists, and cosplayers offering exclusive comics, collectibles, original art, and merch. Enjoy cosplay contests for kids and adults with great prizes, live Q&A panels, artist showcases, interactive zones, and family-friendly fun all weekend. And the excitement goes live. Madness Entertainment Group is broadcasting straight from the con floor all weekend on YouTube, Build, and Rumble. Catch every moment as it happens, then relive it anytime with the full shows available later on Med TV on Roku. Grab your tickets today at hohcomiccon.org. Hall of Heroes Comic-Con, May 30th and 31st, 2026. Northern Indiana Event Center, Elkhart, Indiana. We'll see you there, heroes. This ad was created by Nim on behalf of Madness Entertainment Group and Hall of Heroes Comic-Con.
Everybody, and welcome to Silverline Silver Sunday. This Sunday, May the 3rd. I can no longer say April. I am your host, Amarillo Man, and I'm excited to be here. I'm excited about our guest tonight. But you're going to have to wait a little bit for him because I got to introduce everybody. Joining me, as usual, is Miss Roberta Conroy, Colors Cat Mouse Vipers. Say hi, Roberta.
Hello.
How are you doing today in your spacey background?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's spacey day.
This could be a fun one for you too, I think, Roberta. We're going to remember a lot of this. Yep.
Good.
Joining Roberta and I is militantgazette.substack.com. That man in the mask guy himself, Mr. Mike W. Belcher. Say hi, Mike.
Hey, how's everybody doing on this post-Derby Sunday?
Post-Derby?
Yeah, it's post-Derby.
Oh, yeah.
Derby was yesterday. It's a big thing here in Kentucky.
I
should have worn my hat.
Derby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see how that guy won? The guy that won the thing was in last place and then pulled it out all the way.
The guy beat horses?
Huh?
What? That guy, you said that guy won. So some guy beat all those horses?
Yeah, he was riding the horse.
Well, Golden Temple was quite far behind and came up.
Mike, do you go to the races?
Do I go to the races?
Kentucky,
No, but
you go?
I'll watch them.
Okay.
But he was drinking a mint julep at the house.
It's local sports to where he lives.
He rides his horse to go watch the horses.
Yeah, that's it.
We, of course, are joined by Mr. Thomas Flormonti Jr., who's just here to have a good time.
That's it.
Tommy.
Just here to get a good time. That's it. Okay, I'm done.
Tommy, did you ever ink Gabriel?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. We'll find out. I don't.
You have to figure that out.
not on any specific book, but I did so many fill-ins here and there, and grab pages here. Ink this page, ink that page. Some books I only ink like one page, never got credit for them. That kind of thing. Maybe.
That couldn't have been one that I edited then.
Yeah. That's all right.
And of course, we're joined by Mr. Tom Mason, who says he knows that guy.
I do. I know that guy from years ago. Hey, everybody.
That's right.
Hey, you know what? The that commercial for the Hall of Heroes, I might want to go to that because Kel Mitchell's going to be there.
There you go.
Kel Mitchell and I worked on he and I worked on a show together. He was one of my voice actors, and I was one of his writers. So
Well, if
Awesome.
you go, you know, you got to take photos.
yeah, because it's in Indiana though, which is
I can't answer that.
I'm not going, but I would want to go.
I've never been to Indiana, so I don't know. But I noticed that they said, so I've always said Keith Pollard, but they said Pollard.
Pollard, like
You
he's
didn't
French?
hear? Yeah, they said Keith
He's
Pollard
French,
was there. So
I don't think that's correct.
I don't think that's correct either.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like an AI announcer, maybe.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't think about that.
Lord.
I'm not real sure. I want to say the person who made that is kind of anti-AI, so
Right.
I don't. I'm gonna. My first guess is gonna be probably not.
Well, maybe he pronounces your name as Roland.
He could do it. He could
That's
do
the way
it.
I pronounce it.
We are, of course, joined by our guest of honor tonight, Mr. Gabriel Hardman.
Hey,
You knew I
how's
was
it
going to
going?
do that, didn't you, Gabriel?
Well, I mean, how could you not, frankly?
It's laying right there.
Yeah.
Say hi to everybody, Gabriel.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? You got it. Nobody responded. That's fine.
That's right.
I was waiting for the
I can't
audience.
hear the audience.
Yeah, we
Oh, okay. Well,
Although
I wasn't clear on how all this worked.
I was
Hey,
told
yo.
not to speak to the
Hey
talent.
yo from Madness Entertainment. What's up, Pops? Thanks for always saying hey yo. And of course, we have to. Oh, what's the word? Trust the potato, right?
Trust the potato. Is he going to show
Trust
up?
the potato. Potato says like and subscribe, kids. Potato's always got our backs. Absolutely, you guys. If you are wherever you're listening to us, please hit that follow, hit that like, hit that subscribe. It's free on all of them. So be sure you do that. Hyper Potatoes said Gabriel Gecko was a heck of an artist. Gabriel Hardman is even better.
I'd have to agree. Yeah.
That's
So before I get into asking you all the questions, I want to remind folks we've got a crowdfunder going. We've got 2 days to go. We're 91% there. So you guys get over and back this. There's still, if I recall correctly, of course you could get you can get them digitally, you can get them physically, but I think we've got a couple of pieces of art. That piece is gone. Some Thomas Flamonti inks are still available. Look, there's a inks over. That's going to be.
you can do it.
That's going to be Rob Davis.
That is Rob Davis. Yeah.
Mhm.
It also is supposed to be.
This is Jose. So only 2 pieces left of original art, but there's still all kinds of stuff. Look, you can even do the digital catch up where you can get all the issues that you've missed digitally. And you can get if you missed it, right, here's all the back issues right there. You can get them. So don't think, oh, it's number 5, I've missed out. No, you haven't missed out. Well, maybe you did miss out, but you can always catch up. So and this is what this work looks like. It's fantastic. And Andrea Bormida, Italian artist, just a fantastic artist, y'all. You don't want to miss out on this one. You're going to be kicking yourself if you do. Say, man, I really had the chance to get those while they were there, and now they're not. So, yeah. So get over there. We've got 2 days left. Get over there, back it if you can, share it if you will. So, Gabriel,
Yeah.
I remember a long time ago, in a land far, far away from me now.
Still relatively close to me, though. But
It's
go
still
ahead.
relatively close to you. You
Yeah,
you haven't gone that far, huh?
I still live in Los
geographically.
Angeles. Yeah, I live in Los
Okay.
Angeles. Yeah.
Okay. I think you lived in the valley at the time then, didn't you?
Yes, many years
Yeah.
ago, I lived in the valley when
Yeah.
we first moved out there. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, the Malibu offices were in
Calabasas.
Calabasas.
Calabasas, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I
So-
still, every time I drive out there, I still kind of look at that, that empty looking generic office block and go, hey, yeah, there used to be
Yeah.
comics
Kind
out
of sad, isn't it?
there.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. I know my daughter was out there oh, this probably goes. It was pre-COVID. She moved out there, and so when we moved her out there, we drove by the building, and it was empty, and it was just sad. I went and peeked in the windows. I'm like,
Right.
That's I used to be right over there.
Right.
And it's like,
I was just there in December, and I drove past both older buildings, the one in Westlake Village and the one in Calabasas.
really?
Yeah.
Did you try your key? I'm sure, and see if you can get in there.
No, when I quit, I had to surrender my key. That's
Right.
what.
Oh, you threw your key.
right.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Or did they escort you out and they took your
I don't know.
key?
I found a copy of my my exit paperwork.
I was gonna say Tom left before all the armed guards at the doors.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I was there when the armed guards were there. They're like, yeah, we don't want you taking anything out. That's a whole different story for another
Don't
day.
make any continuity when you roll it.
Yeah.
Tom's writing that book, so we'll see that at some point.
That's right. That's right. By the way, Gabriel, one more time. I just found out, you guys, Tom Mason had a book available on Free Comic Book Day.
I did yesterday. I had a free comic book day.
Ah,
Tom, I've already fussed at him a little bit, y'all, but I'm gonna do it live here
I
so
wish I knew
everyone
that.
knows I'm fussing at him. Why didn't you tell us, Tom?
Because I forgot.
He didn't rename it.
I didn't. 'Cause the thing is, I don't know if you. Most of us are freelancer or have been freelance at various times, and sometimes you work on stuff that doesn't come out for like a year,
Right.
and you're already doing something else, and it's like, oh yeah, I did that, and it's not. It's not new to me. It's new to other people. But I forgot about it. So
Tom's
sometimes
just concerned that he got paid a year ago and he wasn't worried about it now.
yeah,
It's sometimes when you're doing stuff monthly, it's hard to keep track of when the thing's
It
coming
is.
out.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like
It
in
really
the
is.
middle of it. Like when it comes out, it's like whatever, like as long as I get this thing done.
I've had
true.
people text me when I had a show on the air, and they've said, "Hey, I saw your episode last night." It's like I did that 2 years ago.
Yeah, right. Totally.
And of course, with reruns for television, right? You're like,
Yeah.
hey, I did that 20 years ago.
Yeah. One of my kids called me and said, "Hey, I saw one of your Geronimo Stilton episodes on TV." It's like, I did that before you were born.
Hey, I just noticed something. StreamYard has a thing now where the comments that I've showed are grayed out. The ones that I haven't shown are like Matt Likes Comics says, make mine Silverline. What is up, Matt?
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Now he's grayed
Matt-
out again, just like Gmail.
Now he's great.
Right. Matt, Hyper, if you guys have questions for Gabriel, don't hesitate to post them. Of course, I'm about to dive into my questions. You guys know what they are, but if y'all have any questions, post them and we'll get them asked. Gabriel, I like to start off. One of the couple of questions I like to start. These guys all know. They're like, yeah, here it comes. Yeah. What's the first comic you remember little Gabriel reading?
I mean, I don't have a perfect answer for this because I can't remember exact. I mean, the one that made the biggest impression on me that I remember was the Wolfman Perez New Teen Titans number 39, I believe.
All right.
It's one where it's the one where Robin and Kid Flash are quitting the team and like their uniforms are hanging from the logo and they're just walking away.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that I'd read a few books before that, but that's basically right around the time that I was really getting into reading comics, and that's the one that I remember the most.
And that's
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like it was, I mean, I didn't realize that at the time, picking it up off, at the 7-Eleven or whatever, but, absolutely.
It's a great trope too, because sooner or later, almost every comic book has a character who quits, throws their uniform over the logo, and then just walks away and says, I quit. The Flash did it. Spider-Man's done it like 3 times.
Yeah,
it's just,
I mean, and also just I realized later though that issue was also inked by Perez, and so like it was which I liked he himself a lot, and that might have something to do with it, but I don't know, just the book is really well crafted, even though it's there's no action in it. It's them just like whining about stuff like superheroes did in the certain books in the 80s, but I loved it though. I really loved it.
Yeah, I found the cover and it showed the wrong screen. There we go. Might it have been this one right here?
That is absolutely the one.
look at that.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
It's also just a great graphic sort of cover too.
It really is. And the thing about it is it works so well. It's so simple,
Yeah.
right? But it works so well.
Yeah.
Also,
absolutely.
also
And
it
you see it
violates.
and you go, "What's going on? I need to read this one. What's going
Well, it
on?"
also violates the production rule of you can't have a white cover because the ink from the back cover when you stack
sure.
it, chip
Yeah.
on it, will rub off
Yeah.
on the white cover.
Right. Well,
So it's
You know what?
bold in two ways.
right.
Yeah,
It still stands out on the shelf or on the rack. Rather.
it really does. That's a 95-cent variant. Oh, that's Canadian. Never mind. That's for Tom.
Those are my people.
That's right. All right, cool. So, what comic do you remember reading that made you think, you, Gabriel, say, this is what I want to do? I want to make these things. I want to be like this person here. I want to make these things.
I mean, like in some ways, it's the same answer because I was a big fan of that
Really?
particular book, right? But the not that I knew that right away, but that was a book I went back to a lot. You know, like an issue I went back to a lot. But one of the other ones that really stood out for me was a Marvel Tales reprint of the Amazing Spider-Man issue where he's stuck under the the big machinery, which I can't remember. I'm not recalling the number of that one. Right? Yeah.
It's original,
like
something. Yeah.
Like I remember where I bought that. It was at a Piggly Wiggly. It was like it was in Florida,
That's
in the
funny.
9 of like Central Florida. And
What are you doing in Florida?
I lived in Florida from when I was 9 until I graduated high school. So like
Really?
Oh yeah, I lived in St. Augustine initially, and then we moved to Sarasota. So like but at some point, like on a road trip or whatever, I remember picking up this issue, and it just really struck me. I don't think it's another thing that I don't know that I really thought about why it was working so well for me at the time, but it's one that I can go back to and go, oh, well, this is still great. Like I can see why this made such an impact,
Right.
even though even at the time, this is 1984 or whatever it was. It's,
right.
That it was stuff from another time. I don't even know if I quite understood that. I did though. I think I was always a little savvy about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Atris Doc says, hey, he goes, shout out to Piggly Wiggly.
Before the direct market, they were one of the great comic book stores.
Sure.
Yeah. Hyper says, send me the Canadian variants. I collect those. I think Tommy's got an Italian variant. Don't you have one of the Nightmans?
I did.
From Star Comics.
I don't anymore.
Matt Likes Comics says, this is a great book. CPV all the way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is.
I don't either.
That has to be. I'm going to guess this is about
You're vaccinated for that. I know that.
The crowdfunder. Matt, that's about the crowdfunder, right? You said CPV, but Beyond the Stars. I'm going to get. We're guessing, Matt. We're guessing this is what you're talking about. Eric Smith says, very excited about your Twilight. Oh, okay. Matt says a Canadian price variant. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
That makes sense.
I see. I get it.
I do. Eric Fitz says he's very excited about your Twilight issue coming up. Mr. Hardman, loved your work through the years, starting with Invisible Republic.
Well, it is a Twilight Zone episode. Or issue. It's not about sparkly vampires, so it's not Twilight. But I'm very excited about it as well. It's like the IDW is doing a Twilight Zone series, and they're just asking individual creators to do each issue. So like an anthology book, and so I got to do.
Cool.
It is cool. And so I got to write and draw. A Twilight, original Twilight Zone story, and do it in black and white, which I love. That's and great. You never get to do.
Right.
Yeah.
It's been super fun. It's actually one of my favorite projects that I've done in a long time.
Wow. Are you sending anybody to the cornfield?
No, but there's no. This is more a little more time travel, and weirdly, for considering the rest of my work, a story with a bit more heart to it.
No. Are you mellowing?
What's that?
Are you mellowing?
I don't know. We'll see.
Of course he is.
I don't know.
Look at the highlights. Look at the highlights in his beard there.
I don't call that
yes,
mellow.
I'm an old man. Yeah.
But
I don't know. It was, well, actually, if we want to go into the real thing was just that I went and looked back at, I'm a big fan of the Twilight Zone, but I went back and looked at some stuff and read some Richard Matheson scripts and some Rod Serling scripts and stuff. And one of the things I noticed that like everybody thinks of the Twilight Zone as just a kind of dark sci-fi thing with a twist, but a lot of the episodes and a lot of Rod Serling's work was kind of sentimental, and he had this kind of deep nostalgia about stuff. And so I wanted to do something that kind of, I wouldn't say that my book is that. I may be overselling the heart and nostalgia here, but I still wanted something that brought a little bit of that to it, rather than just like the knee-jerk idea of what the Twilight Zone is. Yeah, so that was kind of how I pursued it.
Atris is Gabriel Hardman.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I feel like that's not going to hold up.
Gabriel says, "Hang on now, you're going to ruin his reputation." Pop says, "Back it." We absolutely agree. Pops, go back it. And by the way, if you guys don't know where it's easy to find. SilverlineComics, crowdfunder.com. Get over there. All right, so it was the Titans that you remember, Titans that made you say, "Hey, this is the kind of thing that I want to do." Well,
it also did kind of Spider-Man. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we can't go wrong with that. Yeah. Lots of Spider-Man fans here.
Yeah.
So what was your process then? What did you do? Did you are you self-taught? Did you go to art school? Did you just go to what did you do to get yourself from this is what I want to do to actually doing it?
Right. Well, my mother was a fine artist, and so I was always exposed to art. I was always drawing. I don't remember a time when I didn't draw. I remember, and I was exposed to the idea of, drawing from life, drawing in a lot of different ways that weren't just comics. And then but I also spent tons of time drawing comics type stuff. Yeah. And by the time I was 14, I was like buying, Artist Market and looking up the submission, stuff for comics companies. And I started sending off, art samples, sequential samples when I was 14, obviously not getting work, but occasionally I would get, notes back. I got responses from Eclipse Comics, who, gave me some critiques of stuff. I got, and then, like, as I went along, I started getting, responses from maybe Marvel, probably not, definitely DC. There was a guy there, Neil Posner, who was like a submissions editor for a bit, who was actually really helpful. He was not a nice guy, but he was like helpful to me,
he was their new talent guy, right?
He was kind of a jerk, but like in a not a bad way, like he was really, he was brusque, but he was like, look here, this is what you need to do, and you should focus on this, and he'd like write back notes and stuff. Yeah, it wasn't a bad thing. And and he got the first actual comics work. It wasn't really comics work exactly, but like the first, thing I got paid for in comics was doing like a little internship for Dick Giordano.
Really?
Right? Yeah, because he was he had been the executive editor at DC, and he was retiring. And so this is when I was 17. No, I was 18. I was 18, and I lived in New York City. So I'd already moved to New York City. So like I would go up and meet with him at the DC offices. I would like take that, and I had a story that I was working on. I would take my pages up there. He would criticize, and I still think about stuff that Dick told me, how, just some ideas about storytelling and process stuff and things like that. But the idea was, Neil Posner had recommended me for that. And then the idea was that I would, that then Dick Giordano would go and, show the samples around to editors, and then and help, mentor and get people work, except that the editors didn't give a damn about what he was showing to him, because he was on the way out, so they didn't have to listen to him anymore. Right. Yeah. And so and right at that time, I was in New York, and so I went to a convention at Javits Center. I ran into this guy Len Kinski, who was a writer, and they had this book War Machine that was like the Iron Man spinoff, and Barry Kitson was the artist on it, but he drew like 15 pages and left to do something at DC, and so they needed somebody kind of desperately. And they were just like, well, go up and talk to the editor on Monday. And I did. I showed him the stuff. He was like, well, do a pinup of War Machine and come back tomorrow. So I did that. And then they were just like, okay. And they hired me to do the book. So like that was the first actual published book, right? So then then on the next day, I had to call Dick Giordano and go, hey, so anyway, I got a book at Marvel, you know, and he was like, good for you, you know, like he was real positive about it. So
because I'm on my way out.
Well, and just like dude, you're a freelancer, go out and get work, you know, not, you know, it's not, you know, that's what it's about.
That's like a dream, though, Gabriel. So
kind of.
let's
I
back
mean,
up.
it would be a bigger dream, a better dream if I were, you know, like not 18 years old and better qualified to actually do it at the time, you know.
Well, let's back up.
So
So you graduated high school in Florida.
Yeah.
And next thing I hear you say is, I'm living in New York City.
Right. So I graduated when I was 16, a little bit early, and
you graduated high school at 16.
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Not because I was smart, not because I was smart. I just want to you know, hold on.
Nobody believes that, of course.
It was well, I may be smart, but that has nothing to do with why I graduated high school early. I did go to an arts-oriented high school, right, for the majority of it. So like it was a thing where you'd go to regular classes in the morning, and the whole afternoon you would go to art, related stuff. Yeah, well, it actually was it was like a public school thing, and it's still there in Sarasota, but really? You know, called the VPA at Booker High School, but like. I mean, not that I've been back there, and I don't, you know, it never occurred to me really. But it had an acting discipline, and you know, and a like dance discipline, and an fine art discipline. Maybe there was another one. And so, you know, I was in the art part of it, and I got and that part was great. And then, but I wasn't doing well in the regular high school part of it. And so I ended up, I had a friend who went to this kind of alternative dropout type high school. And so I ended up going there for the regular school, like in the morning. And then I would go to the art school in the afternoon. But like the dropout type school is a work at your own pace type thing. So this might be where the smart part comes in a little bit, because I just worked at a very fast pace, right? I just did all of the work so I could just get it done and get out of there. Exactly. So like, so I mean, you know, so I graduated like, you know, I was 16, but basically the end of what would have been my junior year. I graduated. And so I turned 17 a month later or something. Right. Yeah, and so, you know, then, you know, and I graduated, you know, there was like a little ceremony thing, and I had some friends who were going to go drive up to New York City. And I literally, like my grandma and my great aunt and my mom were there and stuff. Like I graduated, I walked out, said stuff to everybody, literally walked out and got in a car and drove away to New York City.
No way.
From the graduation ceremony.
So long, and thanks for all the fish, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's been great.
A cousin of mine just sent me a photo of that she had found of that night, where it was me and my mom and my grandma, and I'd already taken off the robe. It looked everybody else looked a little bit like, what's going on? And I'm clearly almost out the door. So
this looks like the Titans cover that you love so much.
Exactly.
Now, were you going up there with the intention of, I'm going up there to get work at Marvel and DC? That was part of it.
That was part of it. Oh, yeah. But I did have I was going up there for to go to School of Visual Arts, technically.
Okay. All right.
Although for fine art, not for illustration. And but I only had, the only way I was doing that, we were not like, I was raised by a single mom who was a fine artist. We had no money. I grew up very, with very, very little money. So like I didn't have money to go to college. The only money I had to go to college was the local scholarship stuff I could pull together from the art stuff. Although the fact that I went to the dropout high school meant that like each organization gave a scholarship to each school in the in the county or whatever. So I took all of them for the kind of dropout school, right? Like there was nobody else who was as good as me there, art-wise, right? So, but that said, like that only got me 6 months of, I got me basically a semester or whatever it is, right? Of of money to go to School of Visual Arts. And I'm in New York. I'm trying to like make enough money to live and everything, and I basically just dropped out. But it was also frustrating because I'd done 3 years of college level art training already in high school, starting.
And just repeating a lot of that.
And it was, it was not only repeating a lot of that, but a lot of the, most of the other people, they're just coming from regular high schools where they were the best in their class and everybody told them they were great all the time. I was from a thing where you had to learn to be critical and you had to learn to take criticism of your work, right? And like, you're like,
you guys need to go show your art to some comic book editors.
Seriously. Well, it's no joke. And
Poster would make a word.
So like, but it was, all the other students hated me because I would be critical of things, right? But they weren't used to that world of like, having to defend your work and, and do, or not just having to take the criticism, Right. So, it wasn't really like I was disappointed to drop out. It wasn't doing much for me. And then I got a job briefly being an artist assistant, but that sounds better than what the reality was because there was no experience involved in this. The artist was 1960s conceptual artist Saul LeWitt, who fabricates little wooden boxes and does drawings of geometrical drawings on the wall, but he never did any of that work, right? It's conceptual art. You hire other people to do the work. So, I was the assistant to his assistant for a little bit, which just meant I had to, to sand down the things to make the little boxes out of, and I had to, but I also did, because he didn't do the work, assistants did the work, and I didn't work for that long, but there was an auction at Sotheby's of art from this period and stuff, and one of his things is wall drawings, like they're like meaning it's like a big geometric drawing literally on a wall. And so you're not buying the drawing, you're buying the concept of the drawing. So if I had to draw the 17-year-old me had to draw the geometric wall drawing on the wall at Sotheby's that was going to be auctioned for hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? But if somebody bought it, then somebody else, if I continued working, maybe it would have been me, but somebody would go to their place and draw it on their wall. Anyway, so I did that for a little bit. Then I worked at the Guggenheim as a security guard for like 9 months. All that time, I was trying to get into comics. So when I was going to cons and I was like showing my portfolio around and, taking it very seriously, drawing, like I would write in, or Neil Posner would send me like I remember a Green Lantern script that, but it was, a full script, one of the regular issues. And I drew all of that. I drew all of a Suicide Squad issue. Like I did tons and tons and tons of sample stuff and got marginally better, I think, over that.
Yeah. Hyper Potato says 18 in New York City interning for Giordano. Is this a comic book fairy tale? What an experience.
It sounds like it.
It certainly was really positive in that way. I mean, and just the experience of going to the offices and, being around that stuff was great. I mean, my very first time showing my portfolio was at DC. And when I was 16, like a year earlier, and they were still at the 666 Fifth Avenue building, and I went. It was to Joe Orlando. I took my portfolio to Joe Orlando because like an older like comic strip artist that who lived in Florida knew my mom through playing tennis. So he got me.
Not who you know.
Exactly. He got me this interview with Joe Orlando, who's I believe the art director at the time. And that did not go well. That was like him going, literally just sitting behind the desk going, "Look, kid, you're not ready." And taking me over to, I remember distinctly taking me over to the wall and showing me Alex Raymond original strips that he had on the wall, and kind of like walking me through that and going, "This is why he's doing this," and blah, blah, blah. I mean, so it's not, I was still a petulant 16-year-old, so I'm sure I didn't really get as much of that out of that as I should have. But still being 16 and going up and really showing your portfolio at the offices and all that, it's still it's you've done it now, that's less intimidating. So
it becomes less scary over time the more you go up there.
Yeah. You realize that it's not the end of the world, and you're not going to die. They're not going to smack you.
Sure. Although Joe Orlando looked a little like he was going to smack me at one point, but it's fine.
He had that reputation.
Yes.
Matthew Cracky says, "Hi, what's up, Matthew? Thanks for hanging out with us tonight." Atris says, "Buying the concept of the drawing has NFT energy."
100%. 100%.
Yeah. David A. Scooterez, what's up, David? Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, man. He says, "What's the first piece of advice you remember getting that really hit you and stuck with you?"
I'm not sure if this is the first one, but but very early around that same time, I was showing my portfolio to an editor, and I was explaining why I did something or another in one of the pages, and he was like, "Wait, just show your work and don't explain anything.
Yeah.
Just present it." And like, you get criticism, you get asked a question, you answer it, but just don't, if you're explaining, you're losing, And so I've always thought about that. I've always thought about like not trying to just like, not making excuses for stuff, just going, this is the work. And here we are. 'Cause there's really nothing else to say beyond that.
Do you remember who that was?
I don't. I feel like it was an assistant editor from DC, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. That's great. Now, so along those same lines, what piece of advice did you get that you find yourself repeating today when others?
Well, I mean, that is one of them. But sorry, my dog.
That's okay.
I mean, well, certainly I've developed a lot of stuff like that over, that I'll tell. But that one, that actually is the most important one, though, right? For me, hold on.
At least he muted himself before you hollered at the dog.
I would do it.
All right. I think somebody dropped off a package out there. So.
That's all right.
That one particularly, about not like, the worst thing in the world is you present your work and then you desperately try to explain it, and whatever, so
the work should speak for itself.
I've done lots of stuff. I mean, I've storyboarded big movies and I've whatever, and I just present the stuff and I never explain it, right? And I really feel like if it's not speaking for itself, it's not working. So,
And nobody wants DVD commentary for work like that.
No,
it's just
no. Well, and not for stuff where you're trying to get a job or you're trying to especially,
Hyper says 16 and showing portfolios in New York City. At 16, I was just hoping a pretty girl would talk to me. No ambition beyond that.
Well, I was always hoping pretty girls would talk to me in New York City, though. So, trust me, that's a lot more difficult than that.
Your odds are better in New York City because there's so many people.
Right?
True. However,
it's still New York. But
it's a little bit different class of,
yes.
It's not, high school and whatever, right?
No.
You're in the middle.
Yeah.
They have a certain ability to say, "Oh Christ, here he comes again."
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Atris Doc says, "Do you have a favorite Twilight Zone episode?"
I mean, I
have one.
I have them, definitely. I mean, the Shatner one, which is Terror at 20,000 feet, or whatever it's called, the Richard Matheson written one where Shatner's on a plane and sees the gremlin outside. But I really like Walking Distance, which is a Rod Serling written episode where Gig Young goes like kind of slips back in time to where he was a kid. This is one of the kind of more sentimental ones I was talking about, where and has to kind of confront like his parents. He's an adult, but he's seeing his parents, his own age, and he's seeing himself as a kid, and like has to make choices about stuff, and not really being able to go back and all that. I think that may be my favorite one.
Yeah. Anybody else? You got a favorite Twilight Zone episode?
There's one. I think it's one of the half-hour ones where 3 astronauts land on a planet that sort of looks like 1950s Ames, Iowa, and there's a barn, and there's a small town feel to it. It's like the Walton set or something.
Yeah,
and there's people, but they're all like stuff. They're all like mannequins or whatever, and they can't figure out. Nobody will answer them. They're calling out, and they finally meet an old guy. And he's the caretaker of this like museum planet or whatever. And they go through a bunch of stuff and explanations or whatever. And then they go in and have tea or whatever with the guy. And because they found out the location of the planet, he has to kill them. He poisoned the tea. So then they become an exhibit. They become the next exhibit in the museum. And it goes along like, okay, I wonder what the twist is. Then it's like, he kills them? Holy cow.
Dark.
Yeah, it's very dark. And I love it.
Mine is the episode called To Serve Man.
Yeah, that's the other one. That's another one that I thought about.
Really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The funny thing is, I actually read the short story before seeing the Twilight Zone episode.
Cool.
Oh.
I read the short story probably in college, and then saw the Twilight Zone episode shortly after that. And I'm like, hey, I know that.
Right.
You can't trust a giant alien. That's the key there.
Yeah. Atris has got it. He says, it's a cookbook. That's right.
Yeah.
The great thing about that episode is when they finally get the lead actor, I forget his name, they finally get him aboard the spaceship, and they're carrying him back to the feast or whatever. And then Richard Kiel comes in, and they've been feeding him on the journey to fatten him up. And he comes in and he sort of feels his arm. Like, he wonder.
Yeah.
He's not ready yet.
Yeah. He's not. Well, he doesn't want to eat because he doesn't want to be fattened up. He doesn't want to comply in advance.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go back just a little bit. So, War Machine,
New York City.
Yeah.
War Machine. Is this? So this is the first.
The first published thing that I have is War Machine #1. Yeah.
So I'm guessing then Malibu was very shortly after that. So what happened after War Machine? What did you do?
Well, I mean, I think 9 issues of War Machine. I had a hard time getting along with the editor. And it was mostly over the inking of the book. And, which was tough. He was very friendly with the inker, and it wasn't really working, and and I felt like, even though I look back at my work then and go, oh my God, I think an 18-year-old drew this. I still feel like, I still have some pencil style. I still feel like there's better drawing in the, in the pencils than
in the pencil form,
page, and that ended up printed. So and that was a kind of an ongoing thing up until a point where he was just like, all right, enough of you, and so so I basically got fired off of War Machine.
Okay.
And then and did some other gigs here and there. I can't remember exactly what, but went out to San Diego for the first time, and submitted stuff. And I think I had sent out some just packets of work to different publishers.
Yeah.
And then went out to San Diego, got basically no place. I got, somebody at Defiant at the time, which was, Jim Shooter's further, company after Valiant, I believe. I met with an editor there. They looked at the work. They were like, absolutely, we can use you here. Call this number on Monday after the con. I went back, I called the number, and he was like, yeah, we all just got fired today. So,
that's such a comic book story.
Oh, absolutely.
I think we all have that story at some point or another.
But like a week later, I got a response from Roland about like from a packet that I just sent in that I think that maybe you just saw, a submissions type packet.
Somebody handed it to me. I remember I didn't find it, and I can't remember whether Hank brought it to me or whether Gerald. Gerald
was Gerald there? Yeah, I think so. Maybe I don't know.
I don't know. I can't. It might not have been Gerald.
Could have been Larry Renosa because he was the submissions guy before Gerald took over.
Yeah, I think
Larry probably would have taken it to Hank though, and not me.
Well,
so I don't remember exactly who handed it to me, but I do remember someone brought him to me and said, "Hey, you need to take a look at this guy."
Yeah,
and of course we were already kind of in the whole prototype,
gathering.
The merry-go-round with artists at the time a little bit,
right.
And so and a lot of what was in your package was War Machine,
right?
Now I remember getting them and looking at them and liking them, and then probably I went immediately over to Tom and say, Tom, what do you think about this guy?
Hey, this guy draws robotic superheroes. We should put hero book.
Should we
That's how much imagination I have.
It's a good fit.
Yeah. Let's make sure this guy never draws anything besides robot superheroes.
Ask him if he wants to draw more of the same.
So had you moved? Hold on, let's do some comments here. Hyper says, so the lesson from Tom's favorite is don't drink tea. Got it. Tom recommends Diet Coke and crickets.
Yes, for those who've been watching the show over and over again.
That's right. Hyper says, since Gabriel was in New York City, what was the process for War Machine? Did you pick up the script at the office? Did you drop off pages there? Good question, Hyper.
Yeah.
Potato.
Yeah, that is what happened. I mean, I think that like maybe they faxed some of them to me, but yeah, I would go up to the offices, drop off pages, pick up a script. Ideally, I would drop off pages every week on the day that the comics came out, because like this was the world of the comic book industry where you just got every comic from every publisher, right? Yes. Like so like I would take the subway up there and like and get a stack this big of comics from everybody, and then like lug them back downtown on the subway. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. It was about, going in and dropping stuff off, going to the Marvel offices. I mean, I remember like going in the Marvel offices and finding out John Candy died because everybody in the bullpen was talking about it. And also, one time I had a cover, the editor never liked my cover sketches. And so at one point, I brought one in and he was like, look, just go take this down to John Romita. He'll show you what to do. Right. So like John Romita was like down at the end of the hall, like in an office that I now think about as an insult, right? Like it was like a closet, but so I just came in there and he was like, and I was like, oh, my editor told me to bring this in. Could you, whatever. And he's like, okay. So he just grabbed it, like put a sheet of, like vellum tracing paper, whatever over it, and just like, okay, do this, move this here, put that there, handed it back to me, barely looked at me.
Joel.
And like, all right, kid, go, and so, that was cool. I mean, it was cool to have that kind of experience.
My favorite part about all of this is basically everybody you met, Neil Posner, Joe Orlando, and John Romita, they're just gruff.
Yeah. Well, they're all guys who've been working in this exploitive industry forever, right? Here
you go, kid.
Atris says, Gabriel, do you have a favorite thing you've worked on?
I mean,
and I'm going to add, and why was it Turf War?
Yes. yeah. My favorite thing is the thing that no one ever saw. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, like my favorite stuff is I create our own stuff. I did a graphic novel called Kinski. I book at Image called Invisible Republic, and like those things are my favorite things. I've also certainly had freelance stuff that I've loved, and I put as much into every freelance thing as I do any creator. I put everything into everything. So,
Yeah. So what are your so you've done you've been fired off of Turf War.
Yeah.
Not Turf
Oh
War.
no,
Sorry.
War Machine. Yeah.
Thank you, War Machine.
Right.
You take a trip out to San Diego. You're still doing a few. What makes you decide to move to California?
I was.
You were in California when we.
Yes,
when,
I was. Yeah. Well, I moved there very soon after that. So like, I couldn't afford to live in New York, and also I've always been a movie guy. I've always been very and like studying how movies are made and like kind of film guy. And so I went around telling people that I was going to be a storyboard artist, right? Mm-hmm. And so then it seemed like I should go to Los Angeles to do that. And it seemed like it's more affordable than New York. Maybe there's some other opportunity. The Malibu thing was, nice that it was, that made that easy. But it was, it was really about like, is there something else I can do out there in the movie business, And but then I moved out there. I started doing the prototype thing, which started out as just the continuation of the regular series.
Right.
Then I think it became like a
mini series,
and then it became dead. But then at that time I was telling people I'm going to be a storyboard artist, but making no real effort to be a storyboard artist, right? Like I didn't actually like know how to do that or who to talk to or whatever. So, but it turns out, it's Hollywood, so just telling people things is important. And I was a big fan of Twin Peaks. I went to a book signing for like the co-creator of Twin Peaks wrote this novel. Mark Frost wrote a novel, and I was in line for it at the Bookstar in Studio City. And the guy, I started talking to the guy next to me in line. He's like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "Well, I draw comics, but I want to be a storyboard artist." And he was like, "Oh, I know an agent for storyboard artists." He gave me that guy. I called that guy up, and he was like, "Okay, bring in your portfolio tomorrow." And I had no portfolio, so like, I just that night I drew a sequence, like a storyboard sequence, based on when I was a security guard at the Guggenheim. You stand around, you think about things. So I thought I'd always been thinking of some big action sequence in the big rotunda of the Guggenheim. So that's what I drew that night and brought him the stuff. And like, he managed to get me work in commercials, which at first was horrible. But that basically all happened right as Malibu was ending. So like,
perfect timing.
I remember the first gigs I got drawing boards for commercials at the same time still going into Malibu and dropping some stuff off, but at the end during the Marvel whatever type era of it. Yeah,
I remember, and you'll have to help me out exactly when it was. I remember you and I talking. And you had, and it may have been after the whole prototype stuff had ended. You were so excited, and I was excited for you because you were the second director of some shot, and you were like, I did all the helicopter shots.
Yeah, on the X-Files movie. Yeah, right.
The X-Files movie. That's what it was. Yeah,
it was I directed some second unit on that. Which was wild because I was 23 or 22 or something, and I really only just I talked my way into it. It was like I was young enough that I would do that. So that was a thing where I had. Like the first movie I did was Austin Powers, and then I did something else. And I think the next real like full feature I did was the X-Files movie, the Fight the Future. It was like from '98, And it came out in '98. I worked on it in early '97. And then, and so it was a thing where they had kept, they going through second unit directors, meaning the director would go off on a little splinter unit, take a camera and shoot the shots that don't involve the lead actors and, stuff like that. And so like we were out in the desert shooting some stuff. I was very involved in this movie. I got, like somehow in my storyboard career, like I've always ended up being like the guy who's on the movie forever, or like kind of being, having a good relationship with the director or whatever. And it's I think a lot because I'm just a movie, I know filmmaking, right?
Right.
And so, so when everybody kept quitting and I was in a meeting with Chris Carter, the producer, and Rob Bowen, the director, this guy Dan Sackheim, another producer, the director of photography, and a couple other people. We were on location in a trailer, and they were like, okay, well, who's going to shoot this second unit stuff? Like, we fired the last person. What's it going to be? Blah blah blah. And everybody's sitting around, and I'm like in the back of the room, and I'm like, I could do it, and like, everybody looked at me like they were going to murder me, right? Like it was a tense moment. And then I think maybe it was the director of photography, I think, was like, just let him do it. He knows what the director wants. Just let him do it, and so they did, right? And yeah, exactly, for real, like, and so I shot 2 days of it out in the desert, like just stuff where, cars going by, a couple of helicopter shots, which I actually did more of that later too. But it was great. It was intense. It was like, I didn't really know what I was doing, but like, that's great. It's great to not know what you're doing and jump into it. I mean, I think that's
the way you learn, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You figure it out. I don't remember exactly. I remember you and I talking about it, and it might have been at a San Diego Comic Con out there or something around that time. I don't remember, but I do.
I mean, I think that was, San Diego may have been a little earlier, because I do remember running into you and multiple other people at San Diego when I was working on Austin Powers, or right after I'd finished that, because it was like nobody knew what that was, and it wasn't like it was but that was like the most depressing convention I'd been to, right? Because like the industry was falling apart, right? Like, I mean,
everything was dying.
1996. It was the speculator boom and implosion.
Marvel declared bankruptcy, and
all of that, right? And so, like, everybody was miserable. Everybody was looking for work, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm making. Oh, this is the only time I've ever made a legitimate amount of money in my life. So like, it was real dumb luck for me that I ended up transitioning pretty seamlessly into doing the movie stuff. But it certainly saved me from what happened to everybody else in comics. So
my takeaway.
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
My takeaway from all of this about how to break into show business is, number one, go stand in line and talk to a guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, when somebody says, "Do you want to do this?" Just go, "Yeah, I'll do it."
Yeah. Sometimes simply volunteer for things. Yeah. I mean, like, it's, but absolutely. Oh my God. If somebody asks you to do something and you don't know how to do it, absolutely do it.
Yes,
like that's,
you say yes and you go figure it out.
Okay,
yeah, absolutely.
The thing is that what I've learned is that on sets, nobody wants you to fail.
Yeah.
And
people you want the movie to work. Yeah, you want the movie to work. Yeah.
If you can sort of lower yourself off the throne for a second and just ask people, you'll get some help to get you through it and do the thing.
Yeah.
So
raise
your hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Hyper says, as a Southerner, I'm not sure I'd ever think New York City is too expensive. I'll go to California. As a Southerner, I have to agree with you there, Hyper. He goes, thank the good Lord it worked for Gabriel, so we got more of his art.
But there's work in California.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. Like, it was that there's an industry out there. I mean, if
and you had to do storyboarding,
Yeah, I mean, I could move back to, I'm not, especially then, right? Now it's different, right? Like, you don't really have to live places, for this sort of stuff, right? But like, yeah, back then in the world of faxing at best, like it was not, it was just you needed to be places,
And the cheapness wasn't really a motivating factor necessarily.
Yeah, well, it was less expensive than New York City. Yeah, but, but it was.
But there are options there. It's not like Alabama, because Alabama's also cheaper than New York City.
Absolutely.
Hey, don't be picking on
yeah. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, it was about it was about the opportunity or the potential opportunity.
You were playing the odds.
Yeah,
is your family still here in Florida, and do you and if so, do you get back to Florida at all?
Well, I mean, this is a whole thing actually, because my mom just passed away. She was the only family that I have. So,
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, thank you. I mean, she was in Florida, but she had moved back to Florida relatively recently, and so I actually do have to go back to Florida at the end of the month, but it's not for great reasons. It's for sorting out, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, is that down in Sarasota still?
It's in Sarasota. Yeah. I mean, if I have enough time, I'll
holler at us,
and also maybe try to go to that that new Universal Park.
Go to Epic.
I was going to say, Tommy lives closer to Orlando, and I live up in Ocala. If we can arrange it, we'll come down and grab a
like there might be some place to meet in the middle there. Absolutely.
I tell people, one of the biggest things I miss from being an editor, because people ask me all the time, do you miss being an editor? And a lot of times I say, not too much. The thing I do miss is the expense account.
Sure. Yeah. Of course.
At different times, man. What a wonderful different era that was.
Yes, it was.
Because I'm a dumb hick. I grew up in a small town, and then suddenly I was in comics, and which I didn't know you could be in anyway. And then I had an expense account, which I didn't know you could have being in comics. And it's like, okay, who's going to dinner with me?
Right.
Yeah. Well, hey, I've only ever been a freelancer, so I don't know anything about an expense account. I've never.
Wait, hold on. That. you know a little bit, because you would come up to the offices and we would eat on my expense account.
Well, I know it from the point of view of people.
Somebody else
buying me dinner on the expense account. I've just never had it myself.
Yeah, Chris Carter's not going to give you an expense account.
No, but I get per diem on if I'm on location.
Yeah, but you got to go film X-Files, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, so and this may be a loaded question. You don't have to answer if you want to. Money aside, right? Which I know is very hard to do. Do you enjoy making comics more, or do you enjoy making films more?
Well,
money aside.
I enjoy making comics more than I enjoy doing storyboards, right? Okay. I mean, that's I'm working on somebody else's movie, right? Like, I mean, that's I'm there to do my best to to like get their ideas out, in the world and make the movie that they're trying to make. I'm not picking that project apart from choosing which movie I'm going to work on. I'm not the one who instigated it. And so in comics, the whole thing with comics is that I write and I draw them. I only draw comics I write. I'm there to tell stories that I'm interested in, and so and it's an accessible thing. It's a form that I love, and it's a place where I can do everything by myself, I mean, there's obviously collaborators, but essentially, in theory, I can make a comic by myself, and I have, Kinski, this book, The Belfry, I did. Like, there's a lot of books there where I've just done everything myself. So, but I also, I've directed some stuff here and there. I just directed a short film last month, or 6 weeks ago, maybe. And it's one of the best experiences I've ever had. I love directing. It was an ensemble of multiple actors. They're all working actors, that from TV and stuff. It's about it's a little kind of, fictionalized vignette about Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and like the early days of Marvel Comics. And, and it's like, we're gonna, we're finishing it up now. We just did a scoring session for it on Thursday, and it's gonna go out to like the Toronto Film Festival and stuff. We're gonna try to, have a festival run. It's a short, so that's kind of all you can do. But like it's worked out incredibly well. It was a great experience. I love where the thing about like people being stressed about, I don't even understand that. I love being on set. I love directing. I love people asking me questions. I like, creative, directing is people asking you a million questions, right? Like, and so, and I have answers for those, it's fine, I loved working with the actors. I love actors. And, and so like, it's like if the question was directing films versus comics, I think they would still probably, those two things would be kind of even. They're both really like satisfying creative experiences. I've had satisfying creative experiences storyboarding other people's films, but that's more my day job.
So when you put the short film together, is it from your script or did
I co-wrote the script with Ian Burrell. He actually used to be an editor at Boom Studios. We were friendly, and we did a podcast together for a while, and or at least he frequently would guest on a podcast that I did over the pandemic times, and so he and I wrote it, and I directed it, and it's. Our producer's this guy Clint Trucks, and Clint and Tony Trucks, who's an actress as well, and she's been in a lot of stuff. But it was a great experience. I love directing, and it's been it only makes me sad that I haven't done as much. So I mean, I'm gonna really push for actually like directing more stuff now.
Well, I was going to ask you what because I know that you were this, and I don't know all the terms, but the second unit way back when.
Right.
What are some of the other experiences directing you've had?
I mean, I've done second unit work here and there. I've done, I've directed a few other shorts over the years, but like I've never directed a feature. I've never quite had the, the opportunity to do what I wanted. We'll see how things go. I mean, the movie business is in a disastrous place, right? The entertainment business is in a disastrous place right now. So, I don't have giant expectations of things, but all my expectations. I mean, I'm not a careerist in a certain way. Like, I do the things that I think are worth doing, and I pursue the things I think are worth doing that I want to do, and that is sometimes not the most pragmatic thing, right? But
I wouldn't know what you're talking about.
Well, there you go. This is what people do in comics, though, right? And I've never just when I came back to comics, it's getting ahead of us. But when I came back to comics, I spent some time drawing books at Marvel that I wasn't writing, even though I, mostly with Jeff Parker, who's a friend of mine, was writing them, and it's not like we're friends, and that's fine, but
so if you didn't like it, you could bypass the editor and just tell him, dude, stop sucking.
Well, we became
that's what Tommy does to me.
We became friends over the course of working together, so I probably didn't say that.
I got you.
But then I did, then Marvel wanted me to sign an exclusive. I stupidly did that for a year, and it was a terrible decision, and I ended up on a book that I thought that I really hated, and I didn't get along with the writer, and
when was this?
And this is way later. This is 2011 or something. So this is when I came back to comics after a long storyboard career, So and I felt like that was just what? Why did I sign the exclusive? What? I don't care. What am I supposed to be doing here? Working my way up to draw some big crossover that I wouldn't read, I want to do the stuff that that I care about, right? And so that was the point where I was just I'm only going to work on stuff that I write, and for a long time I co-wrote stuff with my ex-wife, but now and even though I did other stuff that I just wrote and drew myself all through that time, but now obviously it's just me writing and drawing, and very happily.
I would be able to get. I would hazard a guess that 2010. It was probably the signing the exclusive was. Oh, look, I'm going to get a regular paycheck.
Yeah,
kind of. It actually wasn't even that because I still
really? Okay.
I did movie work still. I for many years I've split between doing storyboards and doing comics. So it was more just that actually was more I want to reestablish myself in comics and have people take me seriously as a comic book artist, you know?
Right.
And
That makes
then,
sense.
but then it was kind of like being a comic book artist isn't enough. I need to like be writing and drawing these comics, right? Like this is
Right.
like, that has to be like, it has to be like creatively fulfilling, you know?
Well, now
So-
go ahead, Tom.
Well, so my question applies to that really is that you started out working on basically other people's stuff, so War Machine and Prototype and that. Was that when you started working in comics? Did you eventually think, "Oh, I want to do my own stuff," or was when did you get?
Yeah, I mean, I think I always thought that, but I don't think that I was like, I don't think I was there yet, like as somebody who could write the stuff, you know. I mean, I think that I always had ideas, I always had stuff that I wanted to do, but I think it took, it took a bit for me to start like being able to just be a writer who, you know, like, in a professional sense, right? As opposed to just like my projects or whatever. And
did you find being an artist first helped your writing when you?
Oh yeah,
put a hand on it?
They're the same thing. It's all storytelling, you know. I mean, it's they're just two different sides of the storytelling, which is what you're doing. So like it's, you know, and I've always been really fascinated by the storytelling elements of I've never been the guy who's kind of like, you know, give me a pin up and I'll draw it type of person, right? I don't even like doing covers. Like I like doing the nuts and bolts of it, the visual storytelling. That's what interests me about it, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
it's good.
So go ahead, Tom.
I was agreeing. I was agreeing with our guest.
So I have a question for you then, because and no names, but you worked with a lot of different scripts before you did your own. Did you find that even with the scripts that you don't like or didn't like, as you're reading them, were you learning from them? There you go. Okay, this is terrible. This is a horrible storytelling thing. Not because you didn't like it, right? But this storytelling thing.
Right.
I'm not going to do this when I write my own.
I'm sure that's true. I'm sure that I learned things about it over the course of it. Although, you know, there was not a big, you know, by the time I came back to, this is like, you know, in my early career in comics, which was, well, you know, when I was 18 to 22 or something like that, right? You know, and then when I came back, like basically 10 years later, for 10 years, I was only doing storyboards. And I basically just burned myself out on it, right? Like it's a very demanding job. And I worked on the third Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, which was not a good movie. And it was really obvious while we were making it that it was not a good movie. And like, I'm sure there are fans of it and that's fine. But but it was a thing where I got, you know, I was on it for almost 2 years. I ended up like working very closely with Sam Raimi all the time. I was on set all the time, like all the time. I'd be there. I'd be at Sony, the studio, for like, you know, 20 hours sometimes. Like just, crazy. I basically wasn't allowed to leave if Sam was still there, the director. So like I would be like, I'd be there on set. I'd be there all day. I'd be like, I was supervising the previs, which is kind of the computer it's like, they're like cutscenes from video games, like the computer animated pre-visualization of big, you know, action sequences and stuff. So I was kind of like directing those. But I would have to, you know, go and show them to Sam. He'd give notes, whatever. I had a whole team of people. I'd stay there until we wrap, and you know, which would sometimes be very late. And then I would have to go over to editorial with Sam, to look at what's been shot and talk about what else we would need. It was just it was so intense, and felt like it was kind of for nothing, you know, like this wasn't a great movie, and it wasn't like, and I was kind of killing myself. And so at the end of that, I was just like, I want to make comics again. I want to do something where I can just do the work that, you know, and it's right in front of me, and I draw a page and it's done, and it's not, you know, a 2-year process of revising these sequences forever. And, you know, so I sat down and drew like an indie book, technically at Sony while I was at the end of the thing, right? Like maybe don't, but it was at the end, after the Spider-Man movie had wrapped, they were going to still have a round of reshoots, and Sam kept me on just because he loved to to take like a storyboard and put it in the cut that they're working on, of the film, just as a placeholder. So like when I would basically, it got to the point where at the end of it, there wasn't much to do, right? I was just sitting around, and like once a day, Sam would call me and go, "Hey buddy, I need a shot of this." And I'd draw it up, I'd send it over to editorial, and I have nothing else to do all day. So like I kind of started drawing this indie book then, right? And then eventually got that published at Image, and then started doing that Marvel stuff, and just wanting to kind of like get back into and really I just felt like I was never 100% proud of everything that I did when I was younger, right? Like you're a kid, it's not like I always and all that, a lot of the drawing in storyboards it's not like about being perfect, beautiful drawings, right. But the volume of drawing I did is massive, and I found that this is actually one of those advice type things I give to people all the time, but that it's almost more important, drawing a lot, drawing an enormous amount is more important than fussily trying to learn specific things, because you will just absorb it, and you will also just connect your hand to your brain in a way that is, much
10,000 hours.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. So so I found that, and also as I was doing storyboards over the course of it, like this, it was sort of initially pre-digital days when I was doing boards, and so like I went from drawing them in pencil to getting frustrated in that, when starting to draw them with brush pens. And and then I got kind of closer and closer to what comics were, right? Like the process of comics and the whole process of it. Not because I never inked anything in my early days too, right? Yeah. So when I came back to it, I was like, after basically I'm still holding a grudge about War Machine, right? I'm like, nobody's inking me again, right?
Well, the one thing I am excited to say is I thought Stephen Baskerville looked fantastic.
I think he did a great job. There were people like him, Bruce McCorkindale, Mark McKenna. There were multiple people who did a great job inking wise, right? But it's still just kind of like, I still just want to be the one in control of it, even if what I do is sloppy and people don't, it's not.
It's 100% you
stuff. I don't love slick stuff. Like I want that grittiness and stuff in there, A
Pitzler inker combination is it's a combination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And there's tons of stuff in that's great, but I don't know, for me, especially also with my storyboard stuff, I'm I don't know. I just developed something different. I don't know. I had a better thing to say there. But
that's all right. Hyper says, I think my wife got Gabriel's autograph on some Planet of the Apes comics at Heroes Con years ago. I need Gabriel to come back and sign some more.
I would. I certainly loved working on that Planet of the Apes book. It was at Boom. It was that was something that my ex and I wrote, and it was like the first freelance thing that I wrote, but it was super fun. Not only is Planet of the Apes a fun thing to work in, it's such a simple setup, right? Flipping the ape human thing that you can tell anything in that. Like you can tell great allegorical stories in that so easily, and and it's a great little world, that visual world. So I loved doing those books. We did a bunch of Planet of the Apes books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Hyper says the art on those Apes comics is incredible, by the way.
Well, I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I love doing those. Love doing those books.
David Ace Gutierrez says, "Who are your directorial influences?"
My biggest is Alfred Hitchcock. It's not going on a limb here, but it is. I mean, the way that I started thinking about visual storytelling is from reading the Hitchcock interview book that Francois Truffaut did when I was 16 years old, right? And in it, Hitchcock is talking about ideas of visual storytelling, and I was always thinking about that stuff, thinking about how to apply it to comics back then, and then when I got into working in movies and stuff, it turns out it was important that I knew all that. And so the Hitchcock, But you know, I got loads of them though. You know, I'm a big fan of classic movies. This is mostly what I love. And you know, I've certainly worked with big directors in the current world, Christopher Nolan and, you know, Steven Spielberg. I just did Steven Spielberg's newest movie that's coming out in the summer. Like you know, and well, okay, frankly, Spielberg is one of the biggest influences on me, and so I'm finally having to work with him, which is actually a great experience. But but like you know, Hitchcock and Spielberg and, you know, Stanley Kubrick and Akira Kurosawa. Akira Kurosawa would be like enormous for me.
Oh yeah,
Seven Samurai.
I love Seven
Yojimbo. Those movies are incredible, and I get so much out of them. You know, every time. Huge one for me.
I got to tell you a proud dad moment, right? So, so my son, who is now 25, when my kids were younger, you know, of course, I did the dad thing. I made them watch different kinds of movies with me, you know. Yeah. And one of the ones that I had them watch with me was Seven Samurai. Yeah. My son was probably, I don't know, 16, 17. I don't recall exactly, but around there. Yeah. And I go off to work. I come back, and he's watching Seven Samurai alone by himself. And I walk in, and I said, you know, hey, what you watching? He said, Seven Samurai. I'm like, why are you watching it? He looked at me. Of course, you know how teenagers do. He looked at me like I was an idiot because it's good. He didn't know this, but I walked away going, yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's, you know, it's hard for me to not put that as like certainly one of the top movies of all time for me, because it's got everything in it. It's got it's got action, and it's got all the stuff, but lots of humanity in it. You know, like you care about these people way more than you realize you do by the end of it. You know, like I think it's just one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yeah, I agree. Hyper says we need to ask Gabriel who is the greatest down-to-earth character and why is it Sergeant Rock?
I
love Sergeant Rock, by the way.
I take it. Yeah, I kind of figured. Well, I would say that it's Sergeant Rock because of Joe Kubert, because that's the, you know, like, because Joe Kubert was a genius comics maker, and, you know, and that actually, Joe Kubert, just to make it all about myself, Joe Kubert was the guy that I looked at when I was thinking I should get back into comics. I picked up some reprint of some Sergeant Rock comics, and like, you know, it was all Joe Kubert stuff, and I was reading it and thinking of, and just looking at the way he told the story, and getting kind of like, oh, I want to do that again. That's what I want to do, right? And you know, like, and he did a lot of brilliant work in that world, you know, of those war comics, and you know, and like big inspiration for me. So that's what I have to say about that.
Hyper's over doing this right now.
What I like about his stuff is it's on the surface, it's deceptively sloppy.
Yeah. Oh, well, I like that though.
Yeah.
Right?
I can see where you would gravitate towards him, because he's not like Russ Heath is the opposite. Russ Heath is very technical and very specific. Yeah. And Kubert is like very energetic and moves, but he doesn't really connect all the lines.
Right. Yeah. I love Russ Heath did great stuff too, but like I really like I like charismatic stuff, you know, stuff that's getting the feeling across.
Right.
You know, and less about technical perfection. Yeah. There's some people who are just technically perfect, beautiful cartoonists, and I can look at their work and admire it, but there's not like a feeling in there that I relate to, you know?
Yeah. Well, as happens every single Sunday, it is, we've been here for well over our hour now. Gabriel, what are you working on now, and where can people find you so they can keep up with you and what your new projects are?
I'm on Blue Sky, mainly I'm on Blue Sky and Instagram. On Blue Sky, it's just Gabriel Hardman. On Instagram, it's Gabriel Hardman Art. I'm on Facebook, sort of. I mean, I never go on there anymore. And I
you don't like seeing all the ads?
It's just not. Yeah, I don't know what's going on any of these things anymore, right? Like I've had a hard time with engaging with a lot of this stuff lately, just because it's like, I mean, I look at Instagram. I don't even know. I don't follow any of these people. I don't know what this is, right? You know, but like, get
off my lawn, kid.
Yeah, but so the work-wise, I have my main thing is a book from DC, Batman, Green Arrow, and the Question that we were just looking at a page from that Mike was holding up. And it's called Arcadia. It's 3 issues are out. The 4th issue comes out soon. It's late. It's late because of personal stuff that I was referencing before, right? Like it's the tough time, so it got late because of that stuff. But I just had a single issue G.I. Joe silent issue come out.
Cool.
It's a G.I. Joe Crimson Guard silent issue, which I'm actually pretty proud of. I mean, obviously, I'm a visual storytelling guy, and it was and I took it because it's a fun exercise to do a silent issue. And I have the Twilight Zone issue coming out. It's issue 8 of IDW's Twilight Zone series. Sweet. Also, I'm writing but not drawing a Rocketeer miniseries called Rocketeer Infiltrator from IDW that is I think is going to be a super fun book. Dean Coates, I have not checked with Dean to make sure that I'm saying his last name right, but he's the artist. He's doing kind of brilliant work on it, and I think that's going to be a super fun miniseries too.
Awesome.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Atris Doc says, great show. Thanks, Gabriel, and everyone. Make mine Silverline. You're absolutely right.
Great hanging.
Yeah. So any of you, anybody, Roberta, Mike?
Yeah, I had a question about that transition back into comics from storyboarding. How did your art change? I would imagine you got faster. I would think that it must have changed your approach a bit.
A lot, yeah, pretty dramatically. I mean, it was it was also. I mean, I was also inking everything myself, so that was a big difference. But it was like I kind of just found voice art-wise that when I got back into it. I don't. I never really do a lot of preparatory work. It's like everything's always kind of in my head. Part of why I don't want to pencil stuff for other people to ink now is because I barely pencil, right? Like I'm not finishing pencils and sending them
shorthand, right?
Yeah, I don't send in pencil, right? Like in the start of every job, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to give you the final stuff, the final pages. There's not going to be layouts or pencils, but I will redraw anything, right? If something is, it's faster for me to redraw the final page than it is to like slog through doing layouts or pencils, right? So, it's mostly about me doing pencils and inks, all of the line art, and but also just like it was kind of like I could feel that there was a style that I had in me for comics that I wanted to do and wanted to get to. And then that evolved quite a bit over the first couple of years of doing it from the way, because I was inking with brush pen initially, and that's a little tighter and a little bit more whatever. And then I started getting frustrated with that and going, okay, I got to ink with a real brush. And then, because I can be sloppier with a real brush, and I can do, and I can do just more improvisational, whatever, I can do, I can approach it in a way that's a little looser and to me more interesting, and it's kind of gone that direction. So it's certainly like I don't think that there's a ton in common between the early career and this career, but I'm not the one to be able to tell in a lot of ways.
It's a process.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Well, this has been great, Gabriel. It's been great.
Yeah, it has.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, if you've got a couple more minutes, hang out with us after the thing is
sure. Yeah.
After live
In the green room.
Yeah, in the green room. That's right. Okay, everyone. On Tuesday, a group of professional comics creators discusses the how-tos of making good panel layouts and how writers and artists collaborate to making gripping visual stories. This is Panel Layout Secrets, How to Make Comics Flow. That is on Tuesday. On Wednesday, the Wednesday Whammers are going to say, what effect does Diamond's demise have on the industry? We're going to talk about how much money is not there because of Diamond, and Tom is actually going to guest over there and talk with them about that while I'll be teaching. Next week, we're going to, we decided we're going to start us this monthly thing. Next week, we're going to do the first comic shop talk from May. We have news happen in the industry, and we want to talk about it. So each of us here, we're going to bring a bit of news from the industry that's happened over the last month, and we are going to talk about that. That is next Sunday. So all of you out there in listener land, if you got news that you're like, hey, why didn't they talk about this? Bring it up. And we'll I'm sure we've got opinions.
What? Oh man. Do I have to constrain myself?
Yeah. Hyper says Dean Kotz is a fantastic artist. Looking forward to that.
I agree.
All right. Well, until next time, remember to make mine Silverline. Good night, everybody.
Hey heroes, cosplayers, and pop culture fans, are you ready to assemble for the ultimate geek weekend? The Hall of Heroes Comic-Con is invading Elkhart, Indiana with 2 explosive days of comics, stars, and non-stop fun. Join us Saturday, May 30th and Sunday, May 31st, 2026 at the Northern Indiana Event Center in Elkhart. Doors open at 10 a.m. both days. VIP early entry at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday. We're rolling out a massive lineup of legends. Meet Eric Estrada from Chips and Fallout, Dirk Benedict from the A-Team and Battlestar Galactica, Tara Reid from American Pie and Sharknado, Catherine Cavadini, voice of Blossom from the Powerpuff Girls, Kel Mitchell from All That, Kieran and Kel and Mystery Men, horror icon Tony Moran, the original Michael Myers in Halloween, and more. Plus, top comic artists including Arthur Sidem, Marvel Zombies and Deadpool, John Kramer from Batman and Wonder Woman, Keith Pollard, a legendary Marvel artist on Spider-Man and Thor, and more. Scott Rosema, Stuart Sager, and others. Get autographs, photo ops, and chats with the stars and creators who shaped your favorites. The floor is packed with over 150 vendors, artists, and cosplayers offering exclusive comics, collectibles, original art, and merch. Enjoy cosplay contests for kids and adults with great prizes, live Q&A panels, artist showcases, interactive zones, and family-friendly fun all weekend. And the excitement goes live. Madness Entertainment Group is broadcasting straight from the con floor all weekend on YouTube, Build, and Rumble. Catch every moment as it happens, then relive it anytime with the full shows available later on Med TV on Roku. Grab your tickets today at hohcomiccon.org. Hall of Heroes Comic-Con, May 30th and 31st, 2026. Northern Indiana Event Center, Elkhart, Indiana. We'll see you there, heroes. This ad was created by Nim on behalf of Madness Entertainment Group and Hall of Heroes Comic-Con.
Hi, I'm John Beatty. Make mine Silverline.